Back for Game 3, Round 1. We've got the CTO, Mamox45 versus Boats and Hoenns. Sending them the all clear. Does the CTO have a team name?
The CTO and the CTX.
Okay. All right. Kicking us off, Boats and Hoenns, aka Brad, with the Zapdos. The CTO going with the Infernape, and wow, just kicking it off with the Stone Edge there. Discharge, stab discharge, higher paralysis chance, hitting the Infernape, the fast Pokemon, and that's a pretty tough start, to be honest, if you're the CTO.
Yeah, getting that big hit's nice, but that paralyzed prop devastating.
Yeah, I mean, because you're the Zapdos is gonna roost here, and yeah, there's the roost, and I think the CTO realized that and went ahead and got the swap over to the Mew. Mew, being able to carry tons of different moves. It has knockoff here, which is quite strong, and the discharge not able to get the paralysis proc on the Mew, but Mew carries synchronized, so that is one way to paralyze Zapdos.
He's opting for the burn. Bit of an odd play, knowing that he's given up his synchronized, but really the I gotta commend him on pulling out that Infernape and realizing that the matchup wasn't there. Because it is tempting to sit there and go for those Stone Edge crits,
Ooh.
but losing the flying type off the roost and all. Yeah, big taunt by the Mew when the Weavile swaps in.
Yeah, because this
He's looking
Weavile
like
will
a
just.
pursuit trap.
Yeah, this Weavile is just going to kill your Mew. Yeah, and there is the pursuit. Stab pursuit killing the Mew. Horrible start here for the CTO. And going into Diancie, this is his Mega, so the rock type is going to be pretty good against the ice.
As well as the Fairy in the Dark. This is an excellent chance for him to get his Diancie going. We have to remember that this is a battle of champions. Mammox, our reigning champion, and Brad, previous champion. And getting the defense buff, very nice.
Yeah.
Meganium just not eating an attack very well, showing why it's a low point Pokemon. But those Diamond Storms are also powerful.
Stab Diamond Storm with the defense buff. It's gonna be quite strong here. This is where you got to be careful though. Excadrill can come in with an Iron Head and just take you down. So let's see if he pressed it. He did, but that 2x defense able to keep you alive. Oh man, big
And use
survival there with
it
the
as an
defense buff.
opportunity to get a heal bell off, cashing in on those defense buffs, but saving the rest of his Diancie for later.
Yeah,
Rocks
but
do go out.
the Diancie is not going to be able to heal itself, I don't think. So here comes the Sizor and pressing superpower into the Arcanine. This is, I gotta say, looking at the CTO's lineup between Crobat and Sizor, those are, semi low pointers. So I think he chose to go with Mons for the matchup here, maybe rather than his just highest point Mon.
And seeing how that Arcanine took that hit, even with the Intimidate, and seeing the Will-O-Wisp comes out, makes me think it's a supportive Arcanine. The big question there is if Mamox45, if the CTO has Earthquakes to just crush that Arcanine, because that tends to be its weakness in walling off.
That is true, and he did heal Bell the Infernape, who is a Pokemon that I believe can carry Earthquake, so that would probably be the one outside of potentially Diancie.
A very weird situation here, trading Hydro Pumps for Roost. It's a very risky situation. You're eventually going to miss with that Hydro Pump. We
Yeah,
saw accuracy come into play a lot in our last matchup with just misses from both players all over the place. the high power, low accuracy moves, they can be a double edged sword. But here comes Infernape, unparalyzed and threatening to kill the Zapdos.
And it was Stone Edge last time, but Infernape can carry other things like Fake Out, Mach Punch, and just pressing close combat here. Um, and just dies. And it's got to,
The Rocky Helm on that Arcanine as
uh,
well, just adding
yeah,
the chip.
yeah, really tough. I think that the just that Arcanine looks like it's in some sort of pure tank build. And yeah, there's the miss on the hydro pump, and just willing to leave it in uh, was Brad the Chatty Daddy, and the miss on the hydro pump just really hurts the CTO.
There we see the swap in to kind of counter that pain split. The Hydro Pump will kill, but the burn, will it trade? It does. 12.5% on burn ticks.
And that's just so that sucks if you're the CTO, because one of the great parts about Rotom is just pressing pain split at low health, and just didn't get a chance to do that this game.
I'm just curious how he changes up his gameplay going into game two. Brad has also been known to be a little unpredictable and change up his leads, especially or even after a successful one like that.
So seeing the Crobat with Defog, slightly more flexible than Flygon, but similar to Flygon in that not the best defoggers. So he saw the need to have defog for his team, but looking at Brad's team, I mean, the only Pokemon that's a regular stealth rocker is really Excadrill. So maybe Brad the Chatty Daddy, Boats and Hoenns, just big brained him and just said, I'm not bringing it. This tanky Arcanine is just absolutely demolishing the entire team for the CTO, even as much as bringing Morning Sun to heal itself up. And there's the forfeit. And Boats and Hoenns takes game one convincingly against the CTO.
Yeah, I gotta say, I talk a lot of smack about bulky Arcanine builds. I'm typically not a fan, but it appears like he's found a big hole in Mammox's team and that he just doesn't have great ways to threaten it out. Typically, that mono fire typing is just a huge hindrance and doesn't give it the time to do what it needs to do to set up. It feels like to truly tank, you want to get out there to get that intimidate and then get a burnout, and then you're still only physical tanking. Mammox has really got to find a way to try and match that with the Diancie, knowing that with all of this physical, bulky investment in the Arcanine, it's going to be slower.
That's a
And
good
here he
point.
goes leading with the Diancie into the Zapdos.
I think we also need to see some Stealth Rock play from the
Yeah,
CTO.
I've used Arcanine in 2 drafts now. I'm pretty well versed in it. This is a
There,
very
there,
good niche use of it. I have to commend him for it.
there's the Stealth Rock, like I was thinking, because you really didn't have a whole lot of positive out of game one at all. So deciding to, instead of lead with the Infernape, kind of go back to the pivot, and excellent there landing the Will-O-Wisp after setting up with the Stealth Rock, as Excadrill is a common spinner. So you got the burn on him, and let's see if he's running aromatherapy on the Meganium.
It's got to be the only reason I'd bring the Meganium, but we've seen the Mew do the taunt. There it is. Even the Leech Seed trying to set up a little bit before going for the aromatherapy. This
But
is what Mammox needs. He needs this extra utility out of the Mew. Getting the knockoff on the Arcanine's massive, removing that Rocky Helm.
yeah, this is the type of plays we needed to see from the CTO here. Get back to your Deancey and get those Stealth Rocks back out. This is the rotation. I think the CTO is starting to see it. So Let's see if the Zapdos is carrying Defog. Oh, and there's the swap prediction for the Diamond Storm instead of the Stealth Rock being a little bit more risky. And that's what he needed, but no, not this time. The Excadrill swap in is going to take that like a champ.
Yeah, but here's the interesting situation. You have the double boost and the burn up, but no, deciding to keep it, he needs to keep it safe for that Arcanine matchup. We saw how it took that crunch so well. The Arcanine's only got 4 moves, and we know at least 3 of them. I'm imagining that it possibly has extreme speed in that, which Diancy's also not really scared of. He
Yeah,
goes
and
finally removing those rocks. That may
couple.
have been his goal for not setting up his own as well, was knowing that he only has the defog for removal.
Well, I think the Zapdos probably doesn't have Defog, just being that you devoted the move slot on Excadrill. But who knows? Maybe it
No,
does.
for sure on that. I more so mean for Mamox not setting it up on the Diancie,
Yeah.
going for the offensive play here. This is the matchup that Mamox has been going for the Zapdos with the Infernape and the Stone Edge. See if he gets a crit. He does 68%.
But he's just going to lose it here to the discharge. And again, it's not stab Stone Edge. Like, you got to remember that. So, um, even with the crit, Zapdos showing how tanky it can be.
And Mew showing that it's just trying to bleed this thing out some way, going for the taunt to keep it from roosting, but it's maintained its item this whole time. There's a Volt Switch. It's just going to get out of here and come in later.
And here's the Weavile. Didn't get to see much out of it outside of taking a taunt, but that pursuit was very strong this last time. And oh, no pursuit this time. Interesting.
Yeah, just going straight for the knockoff, thinking that the play is a little too predictable, perhaps. But even still, a non-boosted pursuit could have still killed that Mew. It may have been a bit of a roll, and also respect to Mew's move pool. He could have left the Mew and then gone for something like a Drain Punch, which would absolutely crush the Weavile.
Oh, and it's a
Oh, there's the first
bulldoze.
move.
Interesting. So has bulldoze for the coverage and the levitate. Maybe a little lucky there from the CTO.
But now he's seeing his opportunities. He's going to get the aromatherapy off. He is. Yeah, getting rid of those burns, freeing up his Excadrill mainly. The Zapdos doesn't mind it too much.
Back to the Mew. It has the Will-O-Wisp. It has the taunt, the knockoff, and maybe soft boiled. So definitely that very tanky build that I'm a huge fan of. Pretty flexible with Mew. Build him any way you want, and this time he's just basically the best pivot ever with this build. And deciding to swap him out to protect him again, and no pursuit. Interesting again from Brad.
Yeah, and the interesting thing also here is Scizor can actually sit in against those bulldozes. Bulldoze is a low PP move. He really doesn't mind tanking it. Yeah, the big thing's that burn that threatens him out. But with his physical defense, you really have to attack him with that quad effectiveness.
You got to remember as well, though, that a lot of the old Sizor is that old choice band, so maybe he's set up that way.
Yeah, we've seen him take knockoff, so we know he doesn't have his item.
Oh yeah, the Sizor we saw it previously get knocked off. Maybe it was wearing like the Rocky helmet. Very interesting choice. Usually, the non-Mega Sizor is an all-out offensive choice bander that presses Bullet Punch. But here we are, and no Stealth Rock yet again, deciding to press the Diamond Storm.
Yeah, I'm imagining we're going to see a Stealth Rock out of the Excadrill, but no, going for the Iron Head, just trying to push that damage forward. And here's the interesting situation. Do you go for the stealth rock now, assuming that the Mew feels unsafe and is going to soft boil, or do you switch out to protect yourself from further burns? Your Meganium's taken a lot of hits and hasn't been able to heal up off a Leech Seed and really sit in.
Yeah, he went for the soft boiled, and but this is the Pokemon I've kind of been waiting to see from Boats and Hoenns. Mega Gallade is a house and can deal some serious damage. So there's the knockoff, not a stab move, but the Mew clearly physically defensive built and or has defensive
Whoa,
IVs, and oh, big
the
damage there.
facade for the coverage. I was going to say he cannot leave it in with the knockoff losing the buff and the burn, but he's got the facade for the coverage. Here
Wow.
comes that big problem, that Diancie. The Excadrill's all that needs to get knocked away, and then Mammox can potentially sweep with the Diancie. But this Excadrill just continues to be a problem. Brad doing an excellent job of protecting it and just pushing the offense forward with those iron heads.
Roost from the Crobat. Crobat just doesn't do much. And calling
Oh,
the Roost! Yeah, there's the Earthquake hitting that poison typing. And yeah, just taking it down. Big damage into the CTO's Defogger. But again, back in from Superpower, just hitting it hard on that steel typing. And here comes Zapdos to fight this Sizor. And I think you got to go over to your Diancie again, but this is a risky proposition here. But no, he pressed Roost, so now he will be able to press Diamond Storm without fear. And oh, but the Zapdos survives and will take down the Mega Diancie. Big swing there.
yeah, that's a huge survival there. 8% makes it feel like it's outside of a roll potentially, unless it was an extreme low roll. And ooh, even the bullet punch not killing there. Zapdos just picking up the rest of the team. The Rotom coming in. Not really getting a lot of use out of the Rotom in this matchup. It didn't seem like it's in its strongest fit.
And well, you know, when your Defogger is a flying Pokemon that you have to swap into rocks, it's just really hard to use a pivot mon like Rotom when there are rocks everywhere. And there he goes. That'll take it down 2-0. Boats and Hoenns takes down the CTO.